it going? It's Lala Monfleury here, welcoming you back to the Scorpio Ascendant YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about Pluto in the 6th house, but before we get started, I just want to make sure that each and every one of you has gone online, put your information into a birth chart calculator, and got the planetary placements of your chart, knowing where your ascendant is, your moon, your sun, all that good stuff. Because it's really important to, get that screenshot, get that blueprint of the planets and where they're at and how they're operating in your life, how they're being aspected. And I think I can't stress it enough that I think everybody should undergo that process of self-discovery because it changed my life, and I'm hoping that other people will go through that same process. And if you would like me to do a reading for you, you can email me. My email's on the beginning and at the end of this video, and I'll be happy to do that for you. So thank you so much, and without further ado, let's talk about Pluto in the 6th house. So Pluto represents sex, trauma, transformation, death, rebirth, loss, secrets, lies, chaos, crisis, ups and downs. It's just like the 8th house, which is just like the house of like the heavy. It's one of those like really, really heavy contextual houses that have just like they carry a lot of weight to them. And the 6th house represents your routine and your mental health and service, and service to others. That's why, it's an indication of the jobs that you have, not necessarily like your career, but more like your day-to-day routine, like what you're doing, like on the day-to-day, like how you make your money, where you're working, on your way to the 10th house, right? And so when you bring Pluto here, and I'm just gonna put a disclaimer up there. This might be a video that like people with Pluto in 6th house might not like this video, or what I have to say about it, my interpretation about it. I'm sorry if that's the case, but I'm just keeping it real. And this is my interpretation. This doesn't mean that like every astrologer is gonna tell you the same thing, but my interpretation of Pluto in the 6th house is, people with this placement would do really good at like Uber or like, DoorDash or, Uber Eats or like just one of those, ways, like those 1099 ways to make money where you're like contracted, but you don't really work for the employer. And so you can still like float around and do whatever you got to do and like work on your own schedule type thing. Like these people do really well, like having their own business, working on their own, or working in a job where like they have a lot of autonomy, because when these people get a job like a 9 to 5 or they're working under a boss, like these are the type of people that get very like offended if their boss delegates something to them or tells them like, hey, like can you go do this, or hey, like will you do this, this or that, if they're delegating any type of like anything to them, it just irritates them. It gets under their skin. Like these people do not like to be told what to do at work. It bothers them. And so because of that, like they just get irritated and are constantly in power struggles with their boss or with like their coworkers or people around them, because they're the type of people that think that they know how to do it better. And because they think they know how to do it better, they will be the type of people to like tell their boss how to do it, and like that will cause problems between them and their boss. Like I knew this girl that had Pluto in the 6th house, and she like went through 4 jobs in a year because she constantly quit every job because like her boss would tell her something and she just didn't like it, and she would just like quit, and she wouldn't even like give 2 weeks type quit. She would just bounce, and yeah, like that just kind of irritated me, because like I have like a really strong Saturn aspect to a lot of my personal planets. So, work is something that like work ethic is something that's been drilled into me by just my karma and my like life journey. And this girl just literally just like didn't really have, not that she didn't have work ethic, it's just that like they really just need to work on their own terms, people with Pluto in the 6th house, like, because they're the ones that just kind of like, they already know how to do it all. Like, you can't really tell them like how to do something because they already know how to do it. Like, for instance, this chick that I'm telling you about, I met her at a job. Like, we were both like after COVID, and we, you know, everyone got like laid off once they started opening restaurants again. I got this job bartending, and I met her there, and she was there with me for like 3 days. We were training together, and we got hired like the exact same time. And the resident bartender was like training us on like the cocktails of like the specialty cocktails of the restaurant, and she was like, you know, making sure that this girl was like using her jigger, because it was a jigger bar, so lame, but like she was making sure that she was just doing the right portions, because, you know, anybody can be a bartender, say they're bartender, but they're a good bartender, they've been bartending, but like everyone makes drinks differently. So she was just trying, the resident bartender was just trying to make sure that everything was kind of streamlined. And so this chick was making a margarita. This chick with Pluto in the 6th house was making a margarita, and she put orange juice in the margarita. And the resident bartender was like, oh, we don't make our margaritas with orange juice. I've never seen anyone make it with orange juice. I mean, maybe triple sec, you know, but never orange juice, and neither have I, quite frankly. But so the resident bartender like took the drink and threw it out, and was like, told her to like restart, you know, and make the margarita, you know, the way that, you know, the regular way to make it. And she didn't like that. She didn't like that she was like telling her how to make a drink. And like, so she quit the next day. She never came back, and that was it. And so she didn't give a fuck though. Like, she was on the schedule, she was supposed to work, she just fucking quit and left like the bar hanging. And so they had to like, you know, bring in somebody else off of their day off, and it was all this fucking big thing, because, you know, Pluto in the 6th house was just like, this lady told me that I had to make a cocktail streamlined the way the rest of the restaurant makes it, and I didn't want to do that, so I'm gonna quit, you know. And so later on, like, she had hit me up, and I was like, okay, I'll hang out with you again. And she had, like, 6 months later, she quit her other job that she was at, because she was selling properties, and her boss like told her how to do something, and she didn't like the way that her boss told her how to do something, so she just quit. But she had rent to pay, she had her car bill to pay, she had all this stuff to pay, she didn't even think about that. So she ended up like being broke, and like not getting evicted because she couldn't like pay her rent, you know what I mean, like having to like defer all of her car payments because she wasn't making money to pay, you know, for her bills, because her pride was just too much. Like, she was like, nah, like, I'd rather quit and like not get paid and be broke than, you know, be delegated something by my boss, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, like, I don't know, I didn't like that, honestly, because it was like there was no like forethought of or like, okay, I'm gonna line up this job. It's like she just kept bouncing from job to job, like every like 6 months, 3 months, she had a new job. And it was just like weird to me, because financial security is like, you know, a big thing. Like, you got to be financially secure, but if you can't like maintain a job, how are you going to do that, you know? Like, these are the type of people that like they're not really good at working in group settings, because like a lot of times they feel like they just have to, they don't want to work in a setting where they can't take, like, they need to be recognized as the one who is like the brains of the operation, you know? Like, if they're working in a group setting and somebody else has like a really good idea, if it didn't like come from them, they're not really gonna want to do that. They're gonna want to do it the way that they want to do it, you know what I mean? And like these are not the people that are gonna bring everybody like coffee at work, you know what I mean? Or be like do little like sweet things, or like like at work. Like, this particular girl, like, she did do sweet things for like her friends and stuff outside of work, but like when it came to work, like, she always felt like Pluto in the 6th house, I should say, just feels like they know everything better. Like, they know how to do it better than their boss. They know how to do it better than everybody else. And so that's why they should be in control of the project. And if they're not, they just don't even want to be part of the project, you know? And so this creates a lot of power struggles at work. Like, they create a lot of power struggles at work. Like, the same chick, she got a job at a car dealership, and like, it was her first day, I'm not even kidding, and her boss was trying to tell her like how to fill out like the forms, and it was like a handwritten form, it wasn't digital, and she kept filling the form out wrong. And the dude would, her manager would like come over and try to tell her how to fill out this form. She was like, yeah, I got it. Yeah, no, I know. And like cut him off. Like, I know how to do it. I got it. And it's like, obviously you don't know how to do it. And obviously you don't got it because you had to go back 5 times and get the same form and do it over and over and over again. You kept messing up 5 times because you didn't want to listen to this dude one time tell you how to do it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's very like Pluto in the 6th house. Like they, you know, Pluto represents power and control anyway, and so like these people get very irritated and they're not comfortable like working in a position that they view as subordinate or inferior, because like in their mind, like they're the best ones here, they could do it better. And so these are the type of people that are always finding something wrong with what somebody's doing at work. Like somebody did something that's always like, well, why they do it this way, and they just pick it apart because the 6th house is Virgo, and Virgo is just criticizing and just like analytical, and they will criticize anything like and everything down to like, you know, reduce it down to size. And so when you bring Pluto here, it's like, you know, everything that everyone else does at work is just like reduced, you know, because Pluto in the 6th house could just do it better, and they're the, you know everything like when it comes to like their job. And like the people around them like peep this, and so they're constantly having like issues at work too. And yeah, so I'll just leave that piece there, like that work piece there. And so the advice that I have to give to people with Pluto in the 6th house when it comes to work is that you guys just need to be like really patient and earn your keep and like stick to a job. And like when you're at a job, just commit to it no matter how like frustrating it is, because you're gonna be more frustrated when you're out of work and you're not making money, and then you have to resort to nefarious ways to make money. And that's another thing with Pluto in the 6th house, because if you are a Pluto and Scorpio generation, like my generation, which would mean you're like a Gemini rising or an early Cancer rising, your 6th house is going to be Scorpio. And if your Pluto is in Scorpio in the 6th house, it's like really common that you have like shadow ways of making money or like working, you know what I mean? Like your work could be something that like is a real big secret. You could see sex workers from this position, you could see drug dealers from this position, you could see like people that just do backhanded like nefarious things like in order to like work and make money, because they think they're too good for a 9 to 5. They're too good to be told what to do. They know how to do it better than somebody else, and they're not about to like go sit somewhere or do something for, you know, 8 hours or 10 hours a day and have somebody try to tell them, you know, like they're doing something wrong or whatever, because like they're not having that. Like they're the ones that tell people they do something wrong. People aren't going to tell them. Like they delegate stuff to people. People aren't going to delegate stuff to them. They criticize, you know, people at work. People aren't going to criticize them at work. So like because they quit their jobs all the time or get fired so often, like they get to a point in their life where they're just like, man, I might as well just like sell these pills on the side or whatever. I might as well just sell this ass or whatever. Like it's easier, and then I could just, you know, do whatever I have to do. But even if it's not that, if you don't have Scorpio in the 6th house, or if you're not doing anything nefarious like that, like you could be, you know, somebody that, you know, just works for yourself in general. Like, you know, you could you know, be someone that has like you know, them eyelash technicians or whatever, or like Uber drivers, like I said before, or anybody that's like in a like a 1099 type position where they're just like being contracted out, or like a consultant or stuff like that. Like that's very Pluto in the 6th house too. But because like wherever Pluto's placed, it has the potential to like transform and like grow, and it's not like a stagnant. Even though Scorpio is fixed energy, Pluto himself like transforms everywhere he's at, and like wherever he's placed, it's like a lesson, you know what I mean? You got to learn that lesson. And you know, by the end of it, you'll realize like, you know, your true potential, hopefully, if you bring this to the surface. But a lot of people don't bring it to the surface, and they just kind of like deflect and and, you know, blame everybody, especially when it's in the sixth house, because the sixth house is very critical. Virgo is very, very critical. So it's often that these people can, like, you know, project a lot of like what's going on with them, or like things that they did like on other people, blame other people for like, oh, well, I quit my job because I just couldn't take it anymore. Like this boss was just like just telling me to do too many things and I just didn't want to do it, you know, or just like, why would she tell me to do it? It's like, because you are the entry level position. That's why. Because, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what you applied for. You applied for this job to do this. And now you're mad that people are asking you to do this? Like, I just don't understand. I really don't. And I know people with Pluto in the sixth house are gonna not like this video, but, you know, it is what it is. Like, this is my interpretation. And, you know, it doesn't mean that, like, other people are gonna tell you the same thing. Like, there's good stuff to be seen from this placement, you know, like, for instance, like, you are really good at working for yourself. Like, if you start a business and you start working for yourself, I guarantee you that business is probably going to, you know, succeed. And it's especially if you put like hard work ethic in, you know what I mean? There's no doubt in my mind that you can have like a great career, you know what I mean, working for yourself. But when it comes to like working on a team or working with other people or working under somebody or being a subordinate to somebody, like, these people are just not having it, and they can really like just like steamroll through jobs. Also, because you could see a lot of like you could see sex workers from this position, and also because Pluto represents sex and taboos, and the sixth house is the house of disease. People with this placement need to be careful about like casual sex, because everyone is susceptible to STDs, but especially with this, when you carry this energy, I mean, be careful, because STDs can be seen from this placement as well. That doesn't mean like you are absolutely going to get an STD, but it you know, you might have had like an STD, or like you just want to be careful with that. Also, like, affairs at work, like, you might be somebody that, like, you know, hooks up with your, you know, a manager or somebody that is like that you're working with. Like, you might be somebody that like has affairs like on the down low. Like this chick that I'm telling you about with Pluto in the sixth house, like, she was like, you know, screwing some older dude that like worked at the job she was working at, which is, hey girl, get your money, you know, do what you gotta do or whatever, but like to move up. But like, that's something that you'll see from Pluto in the sixth house, that if they actually end up staying, they will, you know, use what they got to like move up, you know, that quid pro quo type situation. Like, that's a Pluto in the sixth house thing. It's also a Lilith in the 10th house thing, and you know what I mean. So I don't judge anybody for anything. Like, you know, when you're an astrologer, you see everything. Like, you see every combination and different type of placements can like manifest in different ways, and there's similarities and stuff with different placements. So it's like, it is what it is, you know what I mean? And everybody's on this journey to grow, and every soul, you know, got incarnated into this life to experience something. So that's what your soul wanted to experience. So, you know, there's no judgment or anything. I'm just like telling you what the energy is. Yeah, so this, just to wrap it up, Pluto in the sixth house is a lot of power struggles at work. These people are better working by themselves, working for themselves, in a position where they could have a lot of freedom, you know what I mean? Because even though Pluto wants to control others, Pluto wants freedom for himself and sovereignty and autonomy for himself. So when he's in the sixth house, just remember that you would do better just working alone, you know, at your own accord. Okay, thank you guys for watching, and please come back again. I'll see you next time for Pluto in the 7th house. Like, comment, and subscribe. See ya.